Uh, so I wanted to remake the Belly Girl thing because I got some complaints about. Like, I got like one. There's 6 people that like watch my page. Let's be honest. There's not an army. So this is gonna have rape and essay and all that jazz and also spiritual nonsense. I don't really do. I'm not supposed to do spiritual nonsense. I'm supposed to stay away from religion, but apparently religious crazies have always wanted to ruin my life. So, whatever. Um, where to begin? So I now remember I've been doing EDTA and listening to these healing vibe things. This girl better. I don't remember her name, which kind of sucks. But I do remember the things she did. Um, I guess when I was working at Papa John's, felt somebody looking at me. I was doing the dishes around back, and I looked over, and there's this girl, this pot belly, and she was kind of like, and she made this face, and I looked away, and then she said like, she threw her voice, and I heard it like in the back of my head. She was like, "Hey," and I looked over, and she kind of smirked, and went, then she came back over, and she was like, "What's it like being a human sacrifice?" And I was, "Stu tell you that?" And I was like, "I'm not." And I was like, "What is that?" And she's like, "Well, they're gonna take us and crucify us and staple us to the cross." And I was, "What gave you that idea?" And then she said she disrespected a church leader outside of the church one day. She just said something that offended him. And malignant narcissist, everything is disciplinary and everything's an overreaction because they don't understand discipline because nobody ever whooped their ass as kids. It's just a thing with them. So she was like, "They put me in this thing and they're gonna murder me." And I was like, "Well, you get out of the contract." And she, "Oh, you do that, they kill you. Oh, they kill you." It's all under the threat of death because good people. And I'm like, "Well, there's got to be some way out." And she's like, "Well, if you're not a virgin," and I was, oh, so it's like satanic. I was like, "You got to be a virgin to be strapped to the cross." I was, well, you just find a virgin, or you go on the Tinder, get laid, and bada bing, bada boom. And she's like, "Well, no." And she was like, she tells me like she puts on the strong face for her sister, and then she randomly just tells me she's basically a feedie, and she lets her sister stuff her full of food, and she has this big distended belly and pretends to be pregnant because she wishes she had kids. And I was just like, "And you don't want?" And she's like, "Well, no, I can't have sex because they'll kill him, and they'll kill him." And this is kind of like the same contract I'm under with them. So she's like, the they'll, like, "What do I do?" And I said, "Oh, this is the Perseus story." I was like, the story of Perseus, this chick, they feed only virgins to the Minotaur, and then this chick has sex with Perseus, and then Perseus defeats the Minotaur. So you just gotta find some loser to have sex with. And I kind of tell her, like, I give her a hug, it's what I do, and she just melts in my arms, and she tells me, like, "Oh, you're not allowed to give hugs, you're not allowed to touch." And I was like, not allowed to touch. I do what I want. Like, and she was like, "And, Stu, like, what did you do to make Stu mad?" I was like, "Stu, oh, he tried to murder my ass, and I beat his ass, and then I didn't die, and then he got mad and explained to me because I didn't die, he was gonna enslave my soul." And I was, and he's just, "Do you just not think ever?" And I do think. I think a lot, actually. And she was, "Well, like, nobody knows how you're gonna die." And I was like, "And if you die, it's a wonderful adventure because you're gonna find out what's on the other side." And then she's like, "I know what's on the other side." And I was like, "Of course you do, because you've been dead." And I was, that coming from the guy that's died 7 times or 8 times or 9. Now I think I died a couple more than that. But anyways, and she's like, "Well, it's, scary." And then she's like, and she kind of saunters off. Like, at one point I remember vaguely I got her to dance, and she started like crying and smiling, and it was just really dramatic. I guess like the stress of being a human sacrifice because yeah, in the modern day. Um, so, and then I hear a voice kind of like Navi coming from the bathroom, and it's like, "Hey, over here." And "Hey," and she's throwing her voice like this. I've heard people do it before, so it's a pretty magical skill, to be honest. And I'm like, look, and I go over and I start walking towards the bathroom, and I open the door, and she just blows this powder in my face, and it's like, and it's like aerosolized LSD. So I start tripping. You enter the pastel desert, and there's just winds and magic whipping past you, and then suddenly you're in this plane of like purple and flowers, and there's like spirit women everywhere, and it's all like whoa. And then I turn back and I look at her, and she's like this purple and pink kind of bluish flowing silhouette, and I'm like, and then oh, this is the sexual part. Okay. And then she basically mounts me in the missionary position and gets up on the sink and starts working me. And I'm kind of like, well, at some point my pants had to have come off, obviously, because she opened the door naked. And we have sex. This by standard is rape. You should never get somebody high on LSD and then have sex with them, but this is what this woman decided to do. And she's really fixated on getting pregnant with this idea of hers. And we have crazy sex, and we're two virgins, so obviously I'm the greatest in the world because we have no other standards to compare our skills to. You don't want to lose your virginity in a Papa John's bathroom, but it happens, And this amazing creature and her magic LSD, I get her to orgasm, and for 2 seconds, we're back in the Papa John's bathroom for snapping back. And I literally have two memories. I have the general sex stuff, and I have the secondary memory, which is her in this eternal plane of pastel and beauty and winds just washing over us as we're having sex. It's the craziest way to have sex. It's a guided acid trip, and I don't know how she was doing it while having sex, but obviously when she orgasmed, the entire thing went away, so she was doing something to perpetuate this thing she did. And that happened, she did that to me multiple times. I remember hearing her voice from a gas station bathroom, just hearing a voice like, hey, over here, and walking over to investigate, and then whoa, and then back to the missionary sex. I've always wanted to do doggy style myself. Fat chicks love doggy style. But this is more complicated because in order to not be a human sacrifice, she has to actually get pregnant, and Stu tried to chemically castrate me, but because I'm Bob the miracle worker, she got pregnant with my kid. Yeah. And her plan, because I like fat chicks, and fat chicks can hide pregnant bellies, was to get really fat and not let people know she had gotten pregnant, because apparently she could get out of the contract if she managed to give birth to my child. I didn't remember any of the acid trips. I don't know what's up with that. Like, I remember literally walking out of the bathroom, and she had this other thing she could do, like, I knew she was there because I could feel her looking at me, and I would turn and look, and she would just, like, vanish. She just wouldn't be there anymore. And I think it had something to do with the LSD. I think this was all, like, dude, she's probably the closest thing to a magic girl, like, you'd ever. I remember even seeing her vanish and then reappear while, like, looking at her. It was pretty crazy, This is why you don't do drugs, kids. I don't do LSD normally, so I don't really know the ins and outs. I did it once as a kid by accident, and another time when this Santeria lady raped me when I was 14, and she convinced, because my birthday's January 25th, 1991, that I was a god, and people mistake me for God all the time. I mean, look at me. That lady raped me. That would happen in Emerald Place a long time ago. Who knows? She has a kid, doesn't have a kid. As long as they don't ask me for child support, I don't care. So, that was the girl that ends up getting force-fed by Stu and Ganondorf. Yeah, we're doing Zelda now, because names annoy people, apparently. Yeah. Well, Ganondorf and Stu get this girl, and she had her powers of LSD tripping were incredible, because she got me high one time and showed me her fantasy world, her girl world of us living together, and the feederism stuff, her gaining weight, and me loving this woman, and us having a kid, and just she created this stuff through getting you high on LSD. These trips were incredible, and she was really good at projecting them. The only issues, they all had that pastel, like that burning, like kind of flare to it. It was incredible, and she fell in love with the guy that she got high. And I'm gonna say, like, when you have whatever the LSD stuff was, when you had sex with her, you felt this unconditional love wash over you. Like, it was like she knew everything about you. She knew all your gross fetishes. She knew all your secrets, what you were into, what you weren't into. And I was like, whoa. Have sex with LSD chicks, dude. Yeah. How's that? You ever done that before? My first time. Twice, actually, because the Santeria chick did it too. Anyways, so I'm not reporting this. Also, this woman's dead, so yeah. Well, anyways, and my kid, no. She, like, I don't remember what happened somewhere in there, because she used to send me videos of her belly swelling, and I thought she was just some fat chick that was way into me, and I didn't realize that her belly swell was supposed to be a baby, and, like, she was just over the moon. Like, she was apparently gonna survive and go on and live a life, and she had all these girl fantasies that were just splendid. Now, when Stu and Ganondorf abducted this girl and force fed her, Stu does this fucked up thing. Like, this chick does LSD shit. Stu does an LSD brain wipe, fucking lead, GABA, and Botox toxin mind wipe. And lead is an extremely fucked up thing, because apparently I was supposed to find this girl through love. Apparently her wavelength is love, and it's kind of like psychology. Love fixes everything. I guess that's her religion, is love. I don't know. I don't. You'd have to ask the LSD people. He did that to me many times, and now that I've done ED, if you ever suspect that, do get EDTA. Don't take that recommendation from me. If you're diabetic, don't take EDTA. It will kill you. Make sure you follow the directions. It's dangerous. You can't just take it like some stupid fuck. Like, if you take it, you need to be on it. Okay, it's chelation. It takes everything out. All the heavy metals. It takes bone out. It takes it. You gotta be careful. I almost killed myself with it twice now. But it repairs your brain also. Which is why I remember these things. So this girl that was allegedly force-fed to death, I guess, I'm willing to bet there's a cold case in Ackworth for this. Because these guys were just so obsessed with controlling my life. I don't do gods and stuff, but if there was a god, that girl was definitely sent by God to me, and this is how fucked up and devilish Stu and Ganondorf are. Now, my manager, the Goron, this is gonna get weird, because last night, like, I have these, this is your brain playing with itself. I have spirit trips, and I just kind of let them happen. Out-of-body experiences, and I saw her in, like, her, I guess, dying moments in this shitty building, like, slumped over on a chair, and my Goron manager from Papa John's, that doesn't have, you know what, I'm not even going to do a description, because somebody might want to sue me. My Goron manager was sitting across from her, and she started talking to me, but while I was, like, in my spirit form, like, she could see me in the room, and she was like, I love you, and you're late, you didn't come, and I knew, and she told me she knew this was gonna happen. I got the goosebumps. She told me she knew this was gonna happen, and she knew, like, that she was gonna eat to death, and I told her I was sorry I fed her hope. This combination of hope and food is not good. I don't know. this is a residual acid trip. It's what happens when somebody doses you with too much damn acid. And I did a whole lot of acid, not willingly. Not willingly. I'm going to cover that later. And I saw her, and I wanted to save her, but I was a ghost person, and I was like bawling my ghost eyes out and crying my ghost eyes out and telling her I loved her, and I remember all the things, and she handed this little slip of, like, she touched this piece of like garbage paper, I don't know, and I touched it, and later my Goron manager gave me that paper, and when she gave me it, it burned me, and what she said she did is she bound her soul to me, and then like in that little thing, we had this conversation that somehow while she was dying just lasted forever. I don't really. This is an acid trip, okay? And she told me all these things.
Hey.